Hi everyone. Today I'd like to bring to your thoughts and your heart uh, a little bit of a reflection on what's been going on over the last few weeks since the last video that I've posted. And the information that I would like to share with you is basically highlighting the plan that the elites want to bring into this reality. Now, I'm going to call it exactly for what it is, but I am going to give you a little bit of something else that's interesting with regards to the entire process. Uh, so, you only become an elite if you've basically keyed into a particular form of mind control, even if it's over thousands of years. And this particular mind control was really the ideology of materialism. And you only become part of that ideology, which becomes eventually a religion, which eventually becomes a type of mysterious power that you'd like to wield once you're able to key into what it is that you want to have fulfilled. Okay? Now, at the same time, along with all the hundreds of thousands of millions of mystery schools and cults that have existed over centuries since the beginning of this version of this earth, which is the third version, the elites have decided to play out a part that they don't often do. And why I'm bringing that in for you is for you to see that it really only keys in to what you are fed to believe. And so they know they can't create because they've already given themselves over to the hierarchical egregores and the fake gods that they've discovered perhaps does not exist, and some that are in absolute denial about it, that if they don't give information to people, then people will not make it happen. And so they depend on sharing their projection of what they want to have happen. Now, we know that they also put those type of things, those projections, that type of magic, projection magic, into government's white papers. When the information is put down and it is qualified or called a white paper, I've discussed this before in many of my videos prior to this one. And a white paper is the same type of thing. And I mean, if you read it, your eyes are captured into observing the information as the writing on the paper, on the information on the brochure or the document. And in that case, you then key into that particular mind-controlled program, which is what they project into this reality. Lots of it. In actuality, it's everywhere. It's so overloaded that they're so desperate that they are literally pummeling everyone on the planet with information overload. So you're hearing information, so much of it, you don't know what to actually give focus to. You're like completely lost. You feel stressed. And you're allowing the energy to actually consume you in that way as well. So it exhausts you at the end of the day. And so in reality, what has unfortunately happened when you're in that state of disarray, which is literally the energetic rays within you that are completely confused and chaotic, that is when they know that they have people that track people such as very spiritual people. They have people like that in many groups to track your psychic signature. And sometimes you get a real weird feeling from them, and sometimes you get nothing from them. It doesn't matter who they are. But in actuality, I want to remind you that you decide, that you learn to discern and understand how to recognize them as well. And while you're, so you see, I'm giving you information on how to recognize the culprits that are making sure that the information gets spread around, so that many people that are creative in their very spiritual levels give it power by highlighting things such as it's the end of the world and the earth is going to break into pieces, whatever you want to call it, story. It's not possible for these things to take place right now because we are basically resisting any of these forms that are taking place. And in the same manner, we are also resisting information that is coming to us. We are essentially sitting deeply rooted in actuality in this material world. So now it creates a type of difficulty for them to try and shake you up a little. But at the same time, I want to give you an understanding that if you do root yourself deeply into this material world, that you unfortunately also become then part of a particular belief system or ideology that requires you to literally give of yourself for this world. It's not correct to do that. It is basically not the right thing to do. Because if you do that, you lend yourself to the exoteric reality of what it is that they're trying to build. Exo means outside of you, which in actuality is really a repeat of how the human race had fallen in the first place. The first instance of committing something like that, when you're giving consent to allowing your spirit information or your greater wisdom or that which is within you, it's like making a statue of God. For you to be able to pray to it is how you fall, because you literally descend into the material reality. I'm also not pointing out that the material reality is evil. I'm definitely most certainly not a Gnostic. And that is unhealthy as well, because then you literally have to live a certain way where you've programmed yourself to live in a world that is always on the extinct, which is part of another belief system program or a mind-controlled program. And so I want you to be mindful what you give, to whom you give energy to. And what I want to bring to your attention is that everybody knows already who the elites are, which is number one. First part of decloaking the enemy is by getting to know the enemy. Second thing that you need to know about the enemy, that perhaps some of you have not known, or perhaps some of you do, is that the enemy or the elites are people that are only living souls. It is a pact that they make or made when they were created alongside us. And this pact or this agreement was created for within themselves. They created it before they came here. That was probably the last time they created anything, because they have chosen literally to put themselves into this reality with the intention of actually rebirthing themselves into the system out of the misery and the bloodshed of the life-giving souls or the creators. So in actuality, we are dealing with a cosmic war that is about creator versus faker, and faker wants creator to create for faker. He, she, its reality. And how they went about with all of that, obviously, if I tell you what happened in the past, is they made sure through the families that they could only create a particular bloodline. And that bloodline, as you know, obviously was also coined blue blood. And I'm sure you'll know what that means. So, it was specifically decided that once blue blood line had to be maintained, that essentially it needed to breed into this reality a cold, apathetic, dead, in no consciousness at all, psychopathic behaviors. And certain individuals have been obviously showing that particular behavior, which means they made sure that if we had to do anything on a deeper level in terms of protecting ourselves at all in any particular sense of the word, that they would be almost oblivious to that particular attack. However, how do you dismantle, or how do you track or stop a psychopath, other than, of course, the obvious, which I'm not going to say? You need to look at a psychopath for its actual existence and what it requires. You need to look at narcissists and how they exist and what they need to feed on. You need to address how you give energy to a psychopath or a nice narcissist. What is it that you give them that gives them more power? Investigate, research relationships, understand how that works. Understand that the best way to defend yourself from a narcissist is to literally step away from that entity. It is not a human anymore, even though it appears to be like a human. Some narcissists can never recover, some can only be trained, literally. You need to look at the journals of these particular psychological elements that are wrong, that are going on within the psyches of humankind. So essentially, I want you to take note of what material or what energy you actually give or feed a psychopath. Now that we know who they are, all of them, obviously who they all ever are, you'll get the lesser ones along the rungs of their control. So I need you to understand that particular principle in this reality. The second principle I'd like to share with you is the fact that we are all playing a massive chess game with the entities that are behind that. However, you need to understand that while we are essentially as life-giving souls, and I've mentioned this before, which means we are very unique whole beings that are able to create within our conscious thoughts things. We don't copy and paste the information. We think things and we invent things, and that's the problem. They can't. Okay, so once they've diluted, or not diluted, they've basically reconformed their bloodlines, they've lost out on the part of intelligence and the ability to create. So now I've given you another picture of what they look like. And so you need to remove from your thoughts the stories and the ideologies and the beliefs to scare people with demons and all that stuff, because that is not that advanced. It is not that advanced. All it can do is destroy and worship whatever is put in front of it. Okay, you're looking at something that is called a golem. I'm calling them golems, which means those are vessels that are only bred for a particular function to ascertain a particular process in this reality. And what you're trying to do is to try and fight on an intellectual level with that thing. You can't reason that way. You need to step up even higher so that you're able to understand what it seeks from you, which is your basic existing energy within you, your soul energy, not your spirit energy. It doesn't know how to comprehend spirit. It doesn't have a spirit. So what I'm trying to, when I say it doesn't have a spirit, I'm saying literally That thing that's an elite does not have a spirit. It only has a soul, and it functions only as a living creature. Okay? Its life is only leveled at that field. Now you're asking me, what about all the cults and all of these mystery societies and all this other dark agendas that are all over the place, etc., etc., etc. And I'm telling you, you need to look at, you're seeing occult, that means interference with wisdom, and then you're looking at cults, and you're looking at individuals that are perhaps abused from society, that have sought out those type of experiences or those type of mystery schools or cults. Okay, and then you look at that which is really running the show in the background. Okay, so let's call them Darwinians. Charles Darwin's biggest issue, biggest thing, was to say that he wanted the society of the world to understand its position in this material reality. In other words, you need to know that you are either a prey or that there is such a thing as survival of the fittest. So they are taking a natural selection and implying it upon themselves and then projecting it onto the human society to believe that of themselves. In other words, that's why they started bringing in commerce and all of that. Okay, and along with that comes the same thing, where their intention is really to seek a type of rebirth at the cost of those who are creators. So you're looking at a very ancient war that is regarding the ability to create, which is, of course, the first love of the creator was the creation that could create. That means create an offspring. That means create in the name of the creator. And then you're looking at those that stayed behind, that chose willingly to not become involved in that because they sought it to themselves to want to stay mollycoddled and not do much of anything. So you're looking at apathy, you're looking at the deeper root, which is your evil stepbrother type of thing. So what does this leave us to understand in terms of, and I've given you a very chopped up, rough sort of explanation of the insight that I'm sharing right now. I don't want to explain too much in this, because if you really want to know the deeper details, I would suggest that you subscribe, and then you'll be able to also find out information on the occult, which I will be discussing with the members. Okay, and it is information that is only for the members that are subscribed. So in actuality, let me get back to explaining to you the outcome of the whole thing. First of all, stop thinking it's a bunch of demons or devils that are doing these things. If you do believe in that, it means that you are essentially questioning your own belief system and your own existence, and that perhaps you are depending so much on the outer world to prove to you that you have lost part perhaps of yourself. So what I'm trying to say is, and this is not about telling you to stop believing in what you're believing in, I'm saying stop giving the expressions and the ideologies to devils. Okay, these things come from somewhere else. They don't exist actually, okay? And neither do the other things that are also conjured up. What you're looking at are disincarnated spirits, people that have passed on, that have been captured and put into certain things in these mystery schools to serve a purpose. It's like a person that takes a stone and calls onto his dead uncle or aunt and puts the spirit into the stone by will. Those are different people, and those are the ones that you need to be mindful of, because these are the ones that are the puppets of the ones that are completely brain dead. Okay, so materialism is the issue, meaning to capture the creators into the belief of this material world requires of the creator to become mesmerized by a lot of stuff going on, to become controlled by physical impulses that drive you to a place where you are beyond your senses, and for you to be able to stay cemented into that reality. In other words, give into it, give consent to it, believe the white papers that are being projected into the system through the laws and the governments, because that's a part of magic as well. If you feed it too much information, it will become a reality because it is capturing your sights to look into it. There are ways to look at things and there are ways to talk about it. Okay, I'm not talking about the people that are exposing the information. I'm talking about people that are looking at it who are scared. Okay, so the next thing that I want you to keep in mind is once they've able to capture you into this reality, into this material world, then they want you to become part of this world. They want you to become suppressed by this world so that they can climb out and have a rebirth on your back. And I've been saying this now for years and years and years, since I've had this channel, and even before that, for those of you who know me. This is their plan, and it's playing it, unfortunately, itself out, but it's only starting. A small part of it is starting already. Now, here's how you get out of that. You learn to become aware of what is trying to draw from you information from your heart. If it's making you feel pain in your heart, if it's making you feel sadness, if it's making you feel angry, if it's making you feel emotionally reactive to something, switch it off. Okay, because the technology is also designed for that reaction to come from you, to feed it into this little black screen, which is like an obelisk. Okay, keep it in mind. Switch it off, walk away, go into the garden, or look at your plants, or draw, or read, or do exercise. Do something that is organic and natural. Then the second thing I want to tell you what to do is to start educating yourself in terms of what is real and what is not real. Once you're able to understand what is real, you'll be able to translate it by going into yourself. And only that is how you will be able to access the sacred wisdom that is within you, within your codes of existence, within your original firstborn right. Claim that back, irrespective who you pray to. This is not about who is praying to who. Claim yourself back. Own yourself again. Then the third thing I want to tell you is there are certain people on this planet that are working very hard to try and bring a type of change that is positive. Find them and connect with them. There are many of them on this planet currently as we speak doing that work, and they may not have enough people to support that. And why I'm saying to you that is it requires the support of people and people connecting with people. And then the last thing I want to round off is that I will be doing a live stream soon, and I will be announcing when I will be doing it. It will be related to the information that I've discussed here, and it'll be regarding the information that will be going into the occult lecture and how I will present it. And so I'm leaving that with you. I'm hoping that you feel encouraged rather than feel discouraged, that you understand that we are stronger and you are much more purer than you think you are. You don't know who you are entirely. I want you to start knowing that. You need to start understanding what power you have within you. That information is your sovereign right to exist within this reality and many other realities. You are, as a life-giving soul, and I'm only speaking to you who is a life-giving soul, are able to create You are able to invent things. That is your gift, okay? You don't need anything to tell you how to invent. You invent by nature because that is spirit energy. That comes from the Creator. Remember that. Much love.